Our notes today are on finding the probability of independent events. Probability has to do with chance, so the chance of something happening. Events are sets of outcomes that we might get. And independent events are when one event doesn't affect the other. So today's notes is on finding the probability of events happening when one of them does not affect the other. Here's some vocabulary for you to copy down. An independent event, when the outcome of one does not impact the outcome of the second. Here's what that vocabulary term that you just wrote down actually means. So the difference between a dependent and an independent event has to do with replacing, or does one affect the other. So for example, if you have a bag of marbles and there's 3 of them, and you draw any one of them out, say a red one, then you're only left with 2 marbles. So if you don't replace them, whatever happens the first time is going to affect the second. So if the first time I pull a red, you have more of a chance of a blue being chosen. But if the first time I pull a blue, that drastically changes my outcome of getting a red the second time. So an independent event is whenever you are replacing the marbles when you draw them. So for example, the chances of drawing a blue are 1 in 3. I draw a marble, I put it back, and my chances haven't changed the second time. The chances of drawing a blue would still be 1 in 3. Whereas a dependent event, what's the probability of drawing a red and then a blue? Well, my probability of drawing a red is 2 out of 3. And once it's gone, my chances of drawing a blue just got higher. Now, I have a 1 in 2 chance of getting a blue because what happened the first time changes what could potentially happen the second time. So that's kind of our difference between dependent and independent. As far as calculating these compound events or more than one event, we're going to be multiplying probabilities. So the probability of one thing and another happening is the probability of the first one multiplied by the probability of the second one. Here's an example for you to copy in your notes. Make sure you are labeling them as blue and red because it's going to affect part B of this problem. So for the first one, I have the probability of a heart and then a star. The probability of drawing a heart is 3 out of 5. And since the shapes are replaced after each draw, that doesn't affect my probability the next time. So my shapes are all reset. Now what's my probability of picking a star? Well, there's 1 star out of 5 possibilities. So the probability of both of them happening, I would multiply. There are 25 possible outcomes, 3 of which will give us a heart and then a star. Let's look at the second part of this example. What's the probability of drawing a red and then another red? Well, there are 3 reds in this set. And since I'm replacing them, like I draw them, I look at it, I document it, and then I replace it, my probability of drawing a red is still going to be 3 out of 5. So the probability of drawing both of them is the product of those. There's 25 possible outcomes, 9 of which I get red twice in a row. For example 2, what's the probability of flipping a coin and getting heads 3 times in a row? So I would have to get heads, and then I would have to get heads, and then I would have to get heads again. Well, the probability of getting heads the first time is 1 in 2. The probability of getting heads the second time is 1 in 2. And the probability of getting heads a third time is 1 in 2. The probability of all 3 of those happening is the product of each one. That gives me a 1 in 8 chance of getting heads 3 times in a row. If I were to list out all of the possible outcomes, my sample space would look like this if I list out all of my possible outcomes. So in scenario 1, I flip heads 3 times in a row. Or maybe I flip heads twice in a row and then I get tails. Or maybe the first time I get heads, but the second time I get tails. Well, I could get heads or tails on the last toss. If I list out all of the possibilities, there's 8 of them total, and 1 of them is showing that I get heads all 3 times in a row. Now, you can always list out all the sample spaces and calculate how many there are that fit this event, or you can use this simplified multiplication. Our final example, what's the probability of flipping a coin and getting heads, and then rolling a number cube and getting a number divisible by 3? So we're looking for the probability of getting heads, and then a number divisible by 3 on a number cube. So heads has a 1 in 2 chance of happening. On a number cube, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. 2 of those are divisible by 3. The probability of both of those things happening is going to be the product of those 2 probabilities, giving me 2 out of 12, which is a 1 in 6 chance. Here's one for you to try on your own. You're going to pause the video, try the problem, and then play and check and see how you did. You do not need to copy the problem. 2 number cubes are rolled sequentially. What's the probability that the first number cube shows a 2 or 3 and the other number cube shows an even number? So my first event, a number cube, shows a 2 or 3, and my second event, a number cube, shows an even number. Well, the chance of getting a 2 or 3 is 2 out of 6, because if I'm looking at my number cube, I can get a 2 or I can get a 3, so that's 2 possibilities out of 6. The probability of rolling an even number is going to be 1, 2, 3 out of 6. The probability of both of those things happening, 2 out of 6, multiplied by 3 out of 6, gives me 6 out of 36, which simplifies to a 1 in 6 chance of getting a 2 or 3 the first time, and then an even number on the second one.